Well, hello there and good afternoon from beautiful, sunny Santa Monica, California. And the symbolic end of Route 66, the Santa Monica Pier, right here nestled up against the ocean. Normally I would actually drive my car down here and park down at the pier. But today the parking lot is full and it looks like it's actually been taken over as some sort of emergency vehicle staging area because I've been watching dozens and dozens of fire vehicles and fire trucks pouring out of that parking lot and cruising down Pacific Coast Highway. That's the highway that runs up and down the coastline over here, which is closed north of this point because of the Palisades fire that is burning along the coast somewhere over there. You can see all the haze in the air, although I don't see plumes of smoke. It's mostly behind those hills we could see in the distance there. In fact, if we had a telescope, we'd be able to see some of the burned areas along the coast over there. Obviously very devastating fires and ongoing tragic situation, but don't worry, I'm not here doing disaster tourism. That is not the reason that I'm down here at the Santa Monica Pier, the symbolic end of Route 66 and the beginning of Three's Company. I remember seeing that building right there. The beginning of every Three's Company episode when I was a kid. Nope, I'm down here in Santa Monica on the west side of LA because I'm going to meet up with some friends in a little while who are down in this area. Unfortunately, I'm way too early to just go directly meet up with them. But luckily, that means I have a little time to come down here to the end of the line, the end of the road. The end of Route 66. Now, that intersection back up there where the street dead ends into the pier, Ocean and Colorado Avenues, those were never officially the end of Route 66, which originally terminated actually right in downtown Los Angeles, but later the highway was moved over to terminate in Santa Monica on Olympic Boulevard and Lincoln Boulevard, somewhat nearby. And of course, Route 66 was decommissioned in 1985. It officially ended, and when it reopened as a historic highway and became something of a tourist attraction, all those visitors started going from Chicago down here to LA. They decided they need a symbolic end, someplace to finish the destination right on the Pacific coast. And of course, the Santa Monica Pier was chosen. And look at this. Here it is, Santa Monica 66. The end of the trail booth opened up out here for many Route 66 travelers. This is it, your final Route 66 stop. Thankfully opened in 2009 by a guy named Dan Rice, who I think still owns it today. I'm not 100% sure on that. And it's the finale, basically, for most Route 66 travelers in the 2020s. That is so awesome because for the longest time you would end your Route 66 journey, if you were starting in Chicago, here at the pier you might walk down and look at the ocean. There was really nothing specifically Route 66 to look at. Like I said, the original highway didn't end on the ocean, but nobody's gonna get to, a couple blocks away and then make a U-turn. Everybody's gonna wanna see the ocean at the end of their Chicago to LA trip. So Dan started his thing basically just beginning as a gift shop, just some kind of gift shop to be at the end so people could mark the end of their travels. But only a couple of months later, still in 2009, towards the end of the year, the pier supervisor, who I just found out from my new friend Ian that was working in the shop over there, that supervisor's name was Ben Franz Knight, had this sign installed over here based, of course, on some of the merch being sold at that 66 to Cali / end of the trail gift shop over there, which at the time was actually a mobile cart. They would just move locations around here all the time. That's why the sign is located a little ways down from the more permanent location they occupy now, sort of stuck in a central location, because that gift shop just used to move around the pier where you can see tons of people are getting their photos taken right now. Perhaps Route 66 travelers, perhaps just pier visitors. Either way, it makes one heck of a photo op. And this guy is just beeping his way right through it. He still gets to drive on the pier. Just making my way down to the end of the pier now. You can see busy day as usual, even though it's sort of the middle of the week on Santa Monica's Pier down here. Lots of tourists are actually down here, which surprises me because we're so close to where everything's closed off for the fires. Although it has been less busy than normal. The Route 66 gift shop, Ian was telling me that he only had one customer all day, so things have definitely slowed down considerably because of the fires, which is good because it's not great for tourists to be here right now taking up hotel rooms because they're all needed by there's seriously like 90,000 people who are out of their homes right now. So clearly space is at a premium, probably for the best not to have a lot of visitors. Timing wise, that worked out well because we're sort of in the tourist off season anyway. But look at that, you can see the Playland arcade over here. Down here there is a guy playing some kind of Asian instrument. I don't know what those things are called, you know? That's pretty fantastic. Just making my way down to the end. Feels surreal being over here, but I always have to stop by, you know, any Route 66 location. If I'm in kind of proximity to it, if I'm close enough to strike at it, then I must strike. And London and I, my son and I, we did an entire Route 66 end-to-end trip just this past summer, but we did not come down to the symbolic end. We did not come down to the Santa Monica Pier, mostly because of traffic reasons the day we were doing the LA portion. So as soon as I parked downtown, I was like, ooh, something in me. I get the completionist in me. Was like, I gotta go down there. I gotta go down to the pier real quick. The official US Highway 66 may never have ended down here, but it's been the symbolic ending basically since the 80s. And that means I feel like I'm kind of finally ending this summer's trip by coming down here now. Look at those ocean waves rolling in. Beautiful. I don't see any smoke over off in that direction, which I hope is a good sign. I really hope so. All right, I'm sort of not looking that way on purpose. Trying to reach the end first. That's got to be the first thing. You can see all kinds of firefighters are actually visiting here on their breaks and their kind of off hours. They've been working around the clock. A lot of them staying in tents and things. Real heroes out here. They definitely deserve as much R&R as they can possibly get, that's for sure. And I found out the reason there were so many fire trucks over there in that parking lot, if I didn't mention this already, now I have weird deja vu. I don't know what I'm talking about. The reason there were so many all grouped together was that it was a team of Oregon firefighters, so volunteers from another state, and they all parked their cars there to take one big photo of all the vehicles together and stuff like that. So kind of a cool moment for the heroes, the Oregon heroes, helping out with the California fires. Look at this. I have not yet reached the end of the pier, but I couldn't help turning around now. Look at that beautiful view of Pacific Park over there. That's the amusement area, built, as you can see, right out over the ocean. Julio's first appearance on Random Land was actually filmed partially right underneath that very pier. One of the first scenes ever filmed with my buddy Julio, who I haven't seen for a while. That's just because I haven't been out on a road trip for a while. Dude, I always feel weird when I'm in any pier sticking out in the ocean that has buildings on it. I always feel like I'm in 1966 Batman running around. Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb. That should be my life motto. Oh, that's a very welcome sight, a public restroom, but not quite as welcome as this. We made it 6 or 7 months later, the end of the trail, the end of the Santa Monica Pier, and there she blows, the Pacific Ocean, the end of America. Unless you count Hawaii out there, which I guess we should, it's part of America. Well, actually no, this is the end of the American continent. How about that? Hawaii is part of the United States of America. So I mean it in the continent sense. Yes, that's what I meant. That's what I meant, guys. Don't worry, I had it the whole time. Ooh. All right, well, back down the pier. There is one other Route 66 sign, which I'll show you now, that people sometimes use as a photo op. It's a little more recently placed over here. It's actually right over here in the Pacific Park, sort of amusement park area of the pier over this way. Actually, just past this sketch artist, and look at that. They've done a Route 66 portrait, a sketch for someone. So there's definitely some Route 66 travelers down here today, that's for sure. And not only do you have your sort of official end of the trail sign down there, the one installed by Dan Rice and the pier supervisor I was talking about, like I was mentioning, there's another one right over here in the Pacific Park section, just past these people taking a fun pic over here for the fam. You'll see another guy posing with a sort of pinkish, maybe it started out as red, but it's a little faded, sort of pinkish Route 66 sign right there. Check that out, right in the middle of the fun zone. Of course, after the sign was installed and the popularity of Route 66 exploded, especially after the movie Cars, the Pixar movie Cars in 2007, in the 20-teens, in that era, more and more of the gift shops on the pier began to sort of copy the official sort of gift shop we were showing you down there at the end, Dan Rice's shop. And now you can find Route 66 souvenirs everywhere, but I like to support the original. I gotta go back by on my way back to downtown, grab myself a couple of pins, and look at this. This is exactly what I was checking for. Seems like they've added a couple more signs up and down this place, but the original one I'm not even talking about the big one over there, the end of the trail one that they later officially installed, the pier officially installed, sort of as an attraction. I'm talking about even months before that, the original end of the road Route 66 sign here is actually right back down there where we just were. It's actually right over here on the side door of what I always call the Route 66 end of the trail gift shop, but it's 66 to Cali officially. It's right there, originally made at Kinko's. That was the first ever end sign for Route 66. Actually, technically there's also one the same age on the other side, but it doesn't look as cool as the faded sun-cracked one, so I'm saying that one's the official first one. All right, before we go, I had to walk back down, just a little ways back down on the pier, because I heard old Salty talking to me when I was making my way down before, and I had to come get a glimpse at old Salty and his souvenir pennies, and of course his old tar is down here, giving people their fortunes. Then I noticed this freaking Halo arcade machine. Look at the size of that. Look at how huge that is. You can sit 4 players in there. Dang. That's even better than Cruisin' USA. That's my era. I remember when that 4-player Simpsons arcade came out, the original Ninja Turtles arcade game. Those were the days, my friends. Look, it's Godzilla versus Kong. This is crazy. Oh, look at this. It's nice to see old school stuff, though. We got Raja, the Mystic Oracle. There's Raja right there. I guess he's picking your career. Yeah, what will your future career be? You got Undertaker, Rich Widow. I'd like to be a Rich Widow. No, I wouldn't. Heiress, that would be nice. I don't think I'll become that. Rag Picker, that's probably more my speed. Rag Picker? Yes, Rag Picker. I love that little prize counter. Okay, I'm getting carried away in here. I'm getting carried away by all the fun. First we had Raja, now we got the Taj Mahal over here. There's so much stuff hiding in this arcade. Oh. Good thing I don't have any money on me, no cash. Otherwise I'd be skee-balling it up, dude. Look at all the skee-ball over here. Oh, look at that raptor. Yes, Raptor's revenge. He wants revenge. I had to get out. The 80s kid in me wanted to start putting quarters in things. I don't have any quarters. Normally I'd show you the historic carousel, but it looks like the building's closed today for some reason. The carousel is closed. I don't know if that has anything to do with the fires or not. I'm now headed back up towards downtown Santa Monica and the 3rd Street Promenade. I don't have much time now, but if I can manage it, there's another favorite landmark of mine in Santa Monica I would like to see. Forgot to mention earlier down there when we were at Pacific Park that there's technically no connection. It's just named Pacific Park because it's a little amusement park on the side of the Pacific Ocean. But I like to think of it as a throwback to another pier that was located a little further south, if I'm remembering correctly, called Pacific Ocean Park. A whole giant full-size amusement park basically built out on a pier over the Pacific Ocean. Look at this, there's a little reference to it right over here under this huge mural. That is an old Pacific Ocean Park ticket. Dude, that is awesome. Say Pacific Ocean Park for the subject of a future historical quest down here. For now, I'm headed this way up towards the 3rd Street Promenade. Basically a section of old downtown Santa Monica that in 1989 was kind of cordoned off to vehicular traffic and turned into this promenade, this sort of walking mall area. And right here where 3rd Street and the promenade dead ends into the mall over here on Broadway, this store on the corner is a very historic 1980s movie location. That building right there, the ground floor of it, was the record store from Pretty in Pink. It's the one where Andy worked at, and Iona. It was called Trax in the movie, T-R-A-X. And this isn't a perfect one-to-one angle with the shot from the movie, but you can see there, still looks very, very similar, although today, it's actually nothing. Look at that, they're doing construction on it, changing it up, getting a new tenant in there. That was once where Andy, Molly Ringwald, worked in Pretty in Pink. And then over here where it says Oh Hey LA, down on the side, that's where Ducky was sitting next to the newspaper dispensing machine things. You know what I'm talking about, those things, those dispenser things. There's a great crane shot going up into the sky. It's raining on him, he's sad. Poor Ducky. Justice for Ducky. Who would want Blaine? Blaine? That's not a name, that's a major appliance. I'll tell you a story, that location was not on the internet. So way back in 1999, I thought I recognized the mall over here. So all the way back in 1999, I had a little website about filming locations. My Back to the Future one was sort of well known, bttftour.com back in the day. I had another little website where I first posted that, and I gave the info to Nick over at Fast Rewind, which I think is still around, a website all about 80s movies, lots of filming locations on there. He helped uncover most of the Karate Kid locations that everybody visits today. So I believe, as far as I know, it's the first one to post where Trax was. It was a heck of a discovery. And also, my friend's brother was the kid in there who gets shot in the face by a stapler, missed by an inch. Wait a minute, half an inch. That kid who gets shot by the stapler is none other than Christian Jacobs, the lead singer of the Aquabats, the MC Bat Commander himself, whose brother Parker is a good friend of mine, done some artwork for Random Land and helped create Yo Gabba Gabba. So it's kind of a cool little connection right there with that shop, currently vacant shop, on the corner of the Third Street Promenade, all the way down at the southern end. And I'm walking up now, and I don't have much time, even though I'm going to be back here in a couple hours. Another set of filming locations right up here that's equally as important, if not even more legendary. And I have not actually walked up the promenade to see it for more than 10 years now, because more than 10 years ago, as I record this in January of 2025, my friend Adam the Woo and I were on the hunt for the filming locations of Pee-wee's Big Adventure. That movie was released in 1985, so presumably it was filmed down here in 1984 or early 1985, before the old mid-century downtown Santa Monica was transformed into the promenade with a lot of new buildings by architect Frank Gehry, same guy who's worked with Disney on a lot of buildings, including the Disney Village, the sort of downtown Disney at Disneyland Paris. He designed all that, all those funky buildings. Also the Walt Disney Concert Hall in Los Angeles, if you've ever seen that, sort of futuristic, weird, twisted metal type buildings. But before this area was all sort of transformed by the decision to turn it into the Third Street Promenade. This was the block they filmed Pee-wee's Big Adventure on. You had all the 1950s storefronts that were converted in true Tim Burton style, with the most important being the one that Pee-wee was here to visit, which was actually located right here in what's now this ugly modern monstrosity of a building right where the Sunglass Hut is today. This was once the home of Chuck's Bike-O-Rama from Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Particularly, spoiler alert, the shot where the ambulance comes to get Pee-wee after he's fainted, after his bike is stolen. You can see that building on the right over there. That was the building that was Woolworth's in the movie, and the distinctive windows on top are still there. Despite it being a Skechers store on the bottom instead of a Woolworth's, that is still very much the same physical building that was seen in Pee-wee's Big Adventure, which of course means that right across the street from those buildings, just past where Pee-wee parked his bike and then found only chains over here on the ground, was another building Pee-wee Herman visited, which was the Magic Shop, which I am very sorry to say is now sadly gone as well, but it was located right here where this store is now, this Holy Moly Golf Club, inside of this very distinctive looking building, which I'm sure is a later addition, obviously, down here that's replaced it. Possibly done by Frank Gehry. I don't know. It has that kind of outlandish, garish sort of architecture style that he is known for. It's not necessarily my thing. I guess all art is subjective, but that is where the Magic Shop was, right there. And we know that because in the film, just over Pee-wee's head, you can see a theater marquee for the Criterion Theater, which was located right here in this building that still survives, this white brick building. And the far end of the theater had a marquee on it as well. I'm sure there was a bigger one down there on the corner of this building, on the street corner of Arizona down there, Arizona and 3rd. But right here there was another marquee you can see just behind Pee-wee's head for the Criterion Theater. There's a shot sort of from this angle where you could just make out the Magic Shop, and then down past it you can see the bookstore and the wig factory. And the wig factory is important because when Pee-wee starts walking down the street to, you know, go back to his bike with his purchases from the Magic Shop, he gets right in front of the wig factory that was right over here. When he sees the chains on the ground, finds out his bike is stolen, starts to spin around, he's all disoriented, and starts screaming. The back of the wig factory building is right behind his head. So that was right here on this end of that same crazy Frank Gehry, possibly modern monstrosity right over here. I call it a modern monstrosity because here's what it looks like out here today, and then this is what it looks like on an old Santa Monica postcard from the same angle with the edge of the Criterion Theater right there over on the left-hand side. And most of that architecture survived right into the mid-1980s when they were filming Pee-wee's Big Adventure, all the way up till 1989 when it was all transformed into the Third Street Promenade. Then again, on the other hand, if they hadn't built the promenade, who knows if any of these buildings would have survived or if it all would have been bulldozed and completely redeveloped like so many other historic downtowns. So it might be 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. It might have destroyed a little bit, but saved the rest. Sadly, none of the Pee-wee buildings are intact, except for that Woolworths over there, and it's awesome standing there and matching it up going, Pee-wee was here! Of course, nowadays, no Pee-wee buildings remain. This is basically all that's left right here, the Woolworths building. And like I said, right next to the Skechers store where the modern sunglass hut is, that was Chuck's Bike-O-Rama. I wish I could pop in there and get Dottie to work on some of my classic old bikes. I got very inspired by the Pee-wee bike and my friends who own the Pee-wee Herman replica bike. It started me down the path of collecting old bicycles. But before I go back to Pee-wee, we're talking about old bicycles. Look at this. Look at these guys. It's those little Coco robots. They're always running around West LA. See, I live in Orange County. We don't have the delivery robots running around everywhere like they do in West LA, but you see these things all the time cruising out into traffic. I was up here the other night at a hotel which was sadly full of people affected by the fire, and you just saw these guys running down the road. And they also have fleets of like automated driving cars, self-driving cars now in Beverly Hills, in West LA, and sometimes the automated cars and the little automated robots, delivery robots, will get into accidents together. The battle of the robots right here, though, look at this, it's the battle of the dinosaurs. Topiary dinosaurs, very reminiscent of Edward Scissorhands, which would come a little later in Tim Burton's career. Not necessarily a homage to Tim Burton in that sense, but it's kind of ironic that these two dinosaurs are battling it out right here in front of Chuck-O-Rama, in front of Chuck's bicycle shop, right there where Pee-wee picked up some items from Dottie. Man, right there. That is so weird and crazy. So sad that that building is gone, replaced with this thing. What was up with those in the 90s? I feel like even like homes made in the 90s would have those ugly circle windows, you know? Weird. Very, very, very not. Well, I guess technically late 80s, but late 80s, early 90s. That was all the rage, that ugly style. And this thin metal barred glass cabinets where the metal bars were gold. All right, maybe I'm not making any sense anymore. Anyway, Chuck's Bike-O-Rama was right there. There's a Woolworths building. Crazy. Perfect then and now. Speaking of finding things, and as far as I know, being the first one to find them, another thing Adam and I found on that Pee-wee trip was the location of the biker bar. Before that on the internet, there was an address published that was on the right road, but kind of a couple, like maybe a couple miles down the road. It was not the correct location, and I was looking up the supposed location, the one that Popular Wisdom had said was used for the biker bar, and I was looking at it going, that is not it. It was so close. It was a very similar structure, very similar building. No cigar, though. It was not it. Before I was ever doing YouTube videos, actually even before I was in a band, so like we're going way back 25 years, I was a movie location hunter when every movie wasn't just right at your fingertips. Every movie location now is just posted online as they're filming the movie sometimes, and of course there's so many people out there hunting locations. Everything is very well known now, but we had to go out and find that spot to film that epic video, which by the way Paul Rubens once left a comment on, so Pee-wee Herman himself watched that Adam the Woo adventure, which I was a big part of helping to find the locations. We found that spot. We found that spot in Oxnard where he jumps off the train and he gets to Texas, the Jamie Crack Corn and I Don't Care. I don't do a lot of movie locations now, and that's because you don't have to hunt for them anymore. They're just sort of all out there now. Very few that are unfound, so I only go to the ones either that I'm close to, like this, if I'm in the neighborhood, or if I just, you know, have the urge, like I've genuinely got an itch, like I've got to see that thing. All right, this is where I'm coming back to later, to BB Bop Asian Grill. This place is owned by the same company that owns Chipotle. It is an all gluten-free restaurant. Much like Chipotle, you can construct your own bowls. They have gluten-free noodles, gluten-free chicken, and all kinds of toppings. It's fantastic. It's great. There were only 2 locations in California, one in Irvine that closed because of the pandemic, And this is the only one left. And for whatever reason, they're all over. Like, you can find them in Indiana, you can find them outside Washington, D.C. They're all over in other parts of the country. But for whatever reason, that company has never put another one in Southern California. Most people don't even know that it's an all gluten-free restaurant, which is the reason they have this sort of little wheat symbol on it. Although you'd expect it to have like an X through it if it was all gluten-free. Anyway, I'm coming back here to eat in a little while. First, I've got to meet up with my friends. We're going to a bookstore. I don't know if I can show you this bookstore. It's over on Sunset Boulevard, and all they have is old vintage first editions, and now I'm running a little late. I got to get back to the car and zip on down to meet up with my friends. I'm gonna cruise back here for a little BB bop later because I'm starving, and it's one of the only places I can eat. It's one of the only dedicated gluten-free, no gluten in the restaurant, safe spots for freaks like me.
Well, I couldn't get a job because they said they couldn't hire no freaks.
That was a cool little quick visit to some classic 80s filming locations. It's just too bad there was nowhere to buy some Santa Monica souvenirs. If only there was somewhere. Whatever. This is, by the way, how I figured out that Trax location, because in the movie there's one quick shot facing this way at the beginning of that crosswalk scene where you could see the mall in the background. It's been significantly changed since the mid-1980s, but that's what gave it away, that this was Trax from the film. Molly Ringwald was right there. Ducky was right there. And most importantly, Annie Potts was right there. Oh, Annie Potts. I was going to go on the side of the building and cry for her like Ducky cries for Annie. Unfortunately, there's construction. Not allowed. No access. All right, off to the car. Just a little short drive over to the Sunset Strip area from Santa Monica. Not too far. All right, so here we are. This is it. Mystery Pier Books. I don't know where the pier is, but the mystery is, where's the bookstore? It's actually behind these buildings down this creepy little alley, and it's in a 100-year-old bungalow in this sort of backyard area. And this is not just any ordinary bookshop. This place sells nothing but first editions. That's right. Every book in here is a first edition, first print of mostly very classic, very famous books. They've also got some other stuff. We saw the original music for The Wedding March, a handwritten letter by Charles Dickens, a doodle by John Lennon, but mostly it's every holy grail book you've ever imagined. First print, some of them very expensive, some of them very reasonable. I was completely overwhelmed as a book reader by this place. Total book overwhelmed. And in fact, I was invited here because the person that brought me was buying a rare original print of Huckleberry Finn and just wanted me to get to see it, the rare blue version. They've got everything in there, from signed movie scripts. They have a lot of celebrity clients, so there's photos on the wall of that, and even a cat named Booksy. A cat named Booksy. I can't even begin to tell you all the things I saw in there because there was so much and I was so overwhelmed by everything. I mean, look at this right there in my hand. I was holding an original print of Nicholas Nickleby, the serialized Charles Dickens original pressing. There were signed books from celebrities and presidents and actors and authors. Plus, it's a small space. It's a little awkward filming in there with people who are shopping for very rare antique books. But I definitely want to come back to this place, even if it's just to window shop. Because although we don't get much chance to talk about it on YouTube, one of my favorite things in the world is reading books. We were actually in there for a while, but like I said, I was so overstimulated. I was mostly not filming, I was mostly looking at all the books. But eventually, it was time to go. And that's when I realized this place was right across the street from the old Tower Records. Crazy. Ooh, and just like that, we're on our way back to Santa Monica. And look at this right here, Lincoln and Olympic. At one point, this was actually the end of Route 66, a little less scenic, although it's more scenic now that this isn't a dentist office anymore. It's a Mel's Drive-In with that penguin up there. Nice. But that's not where I'm eating. I'm going back to the promenade. All right, I just parked in that parking garage, and check this out. There's a little shortcut here, a little cut through this building, and it pops out in our old stomping grounds. Look at this. We popped right back out where the magic shop for PeeWee was. And the Woolworths. We popped out right next to Barnes & Noble. I gotta remember that so I can get back to the car. Jeez. I thought it'd be way more packed down here, but nope. It is not. That's not a very reassuring sign right there. Santa Monica is not safe. Who let them put that ad up? What the heck? Good to know. I'll keep my head on a swivel. All right, that's what I'm after right there. Bop Asian Grill. If anybody knows anybody who owns Chipotle, tell them to put more of these down here. Tell them to put one by Disneyland. I'll eat there every day, I swear. Look at this freaking sign. Look at this beacon of glory. 100% gluten-free. No one else in there? I'm going in, dude. I'm gonna be a VIP customer right now. Yes. Oh, so many plentiful options here for me. Look at all that meat. Yes. Bro, look at this spicy chicken bowl right there. A little avocado. There are gluten-free noodles and rice. I almost never get to eat anywhere, even if they could serve gluten-free food. I'm so sensitive, celiac disease, that the cross-contamination means it's just not safe for me to eat out almost anywhere. So this is a rare treat. I mean, don't get me wrong, I normally carry food with me wherever I go, but it's not usually warm, and I don't usually have a comfy place to sit. This rules. See, they had to close their other California locations, and as you can see, it's empty in here, but I think it's a marketing problem because I had never heard of this place until I was literally in Indiana one time, in Indianapolis. So if I'm celiac and I never heard of a completely gluten-free restaurant in Southern California, the marketing is just off, you know? But they need to open more of these. I would be a brand ambassador of a place like this for free. Bop Asian Grill. I know there's one in Indianapolis I stopped at and ate at on a cross-country road trip, I think in 2021, 2022, something like that. Maybe 2022. Ate outside Washington, D.C. at one, in Maryland, so they're at least in Indiana, Ohio, Maryland. Not sure about DC proper, but it was pretty close to DC. So if you're in those areas, or you're down here in Santa Monica, give Bop a try. I think you'll like it. Get the spicy chicken, get those noodles, some rice, sweet and spicy sauce. So good. So on this little digital billboard right here, there was just like a QR code. It said scan for updates on the Palisades fire. I was pulling out the camera to get a shot of it, and a couple was walking by. They're like, oh, is your house okay? And I've actually been asked that many times today. We were at the bookstore even. That guy was talking about it. And the couple that I was talking to, unfortunately, they lost their house, apparently. So they're staying in a hotel down here. I mean, they were upbeat, but they were bummed, you know. And darn. Just realized when I was walking around earlier, I did not take a photo of this location over here, of the Trax, pretty in pink location. So I'm just coming back over here to take a little picture to send it to Allie. She couldn't come with me today. There it is, one more time, with less people around. Significantly less people walking around now, which is surprising. It was so dead earlier. I'm like, oh, it'll pick up at night. It's not even that late. It's like 7 o'clock out here. It's not midnight or anything. And then look at this behind me. Speaking of robots, I think there's one of these in the Brea Mall, like a Tesla display thing. I rarely ever see them though. And look at this. This is the first time I've ever seen that. That is terrifying. Those little R2-D2s cruising around outside, the little Coco robots or whatever, those are fine. If this thing starts walking up to me and has a creepy face on it, I'm going to scream. Ugh. I mean, I guess somebody has to manufacture the cyber soldiers that are going to wipe out the human race. Why not Tesla? Oh, look at that. They got a children's museum of some kind down there. That's cool. I don't think they'll let me in there, though. I'm not a child. I'm old. One day, John Connor's going to be looking back at this vlog and go, why did you let them do this? I'm sorry, John Connor. There was nothing I could do. I can't control our destiny any more than I can control the weather. I'd give those firefighters some relief. All right, well, there you go. We saw some end of Route 66 down there, or the beginning, depending on how you look at it. I look at it as the beginning for sure. We got a little pretty in pink record store action with a little fact for all you Aquabats fans. We got some PeeWee Herman going on, which is always welcome on this channel, I'll tell you that much. Right now, I was honored to be PeeWee Herman's voice last year in the Hanging the Show at Not Scary Farm. That was a lot of fun. Still stoked I got to do that. And if you've never seen it, just search on YouTube, search Adam the Woo, PeeWee Herman, and I'm sure it'll come up. It was Pee-wee's Big Adventure filming locations with me and Adam. Jeez, like 11, 12, 13 years ago, a long time ago. It was one of the first ones. It was the first one that had that many locations because we had to find many of them for ourselves. A lot of them were not documented back then. In fact, when we went to the PeeWee house, for that filming. And I had been there a few times taking pictures before. The old lady who owned the house, who sadly's passed on, I think her son actually owns it now and rents it out, she came out and said, "You guys remember PeeWee?" She was so excited. It definitely wasn't swarmed back then or as beloved. This is pre-Netflix for PeeWee. That was the end of its era as a cult classic instead of just a full-blown classic, which it always has been, in my opinion. But it seems like it was an underappreciated classic for a while. I'm glad that has changed. And we got the Paul Rubens seal of approval. He left a comment right on that video. I was stoked to be part of that. Oh, look at this, the Apple store. See, now I figured Apple. I figured they'd be the ones that were building the cyber soldiers, you know, the iRobots, pun intended, over there. I wonder what they think when they see those little droids going by, those little R2-D2 droids. That should have been us. And where's their car? Weren't they going to build a car? They keep coming out with phones. Where's the car? Anyway, that's going to do it for us. Last few videos, I have linked a fundraiser for direct relief. That's for the people affected by the fires out here in Los Angeles. There's that ad I was talking about. So if you have anything to spare, head over there. And if you have anything after that, there's still a couple days left to order a book before I'm out of state. I'm out of town, about a week left. Talking about my book, of course, Tales from Random Land, signed copies, only available while I'm in town is the thing, you know? And I'm personally inviting you to check out the other links down there, including Patreon. But even if you don't have the time or the funds to do any of that fun stuff, I just want to thank you for joining me today and hanging out. And you know what? If you want to do me a solid, that's also absolutely free. You don't have to join Patreon. You don't even have to get any merch or anything. Just give this video a thumbs up. Share it with some of your friends you think would like it. And if you don't like any of that stuff, I'm sure you've already clicked out by now. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for hanging out with me as I've been wandering around Santa Monica today for very little reason other than meeting up with my friends. But I just wanted to bring you guys along for the fun. Dang, I wish the magic shop was still here. I could use one of those giant ears. Shh, I'm listening to reason. All right, gang, I'm going back in my tunnel. I've done my duty. It's time for me to go home and sleep well. Is R2-D2. I wonder what he's thinking. Oh, off he goes on another wild adventure. Bye, R2.
Look at this though first. It's old Sam, the Santa Monica Seagull, and he is not shy. Oh, he's a little shy. See you, Sam.
Also, side note, I never knew there was a trapeze school on the pier. So if you're done with high school, you're looking for something to do, there you go. Spoiler alert, Booksy doesn't want to be friends. Booksy wants to rumble. Huh, Booksy? You want to rumble? Booksy wants to rumble. New album title.